The final battle was about to begin. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Endeavour, watching as the largest fleet in human history gathered around Earth. Ships of every size and type floated in perfect formation, their crews linked by Dr. Amy Foster's psychic network. "Network status report," Jake said. Amy checked her equipment. "We have 8 million humans connected across the galaxy. Military personnel, civilians, even children. Everyone who volunteered." Sophie Bennett sat in the center of the bridge, connected to machines that monitored her brain activity. Her eyes were completely black now, and she could see across dimensions. "The entities are coming," she said quietly. "All of them. They're not holding back anymore." Through the network, Jake could feel the thoughts and emotions of millions of humans. Fear, determination, hope, and love all mixed together. But underneath it all was something else. Something ancient and powerful. "I can feel it," he said. "The knowledge. It's coming back." Admiral Karen Hayes appeared on the communication screen. "Jake, we're detecting massive dimensional tiers opening all across human space. Whatever's coming, it's big." "How big?" Jake asked. Sophie answered without opening her eyes. 57 entities, including the ancient ones, the oldest and most powerful cosmic horrors. Pete Collins was monitoring the space around Earth. "Captain, space itself is changing. The laws of physics are breaking down." Through the windows, they could see reality bending and twisting. Stars were changing color. Space was folding in on itself. And from the tiers and dimensions, things were emerging that should not exist. "All ships, this is Admiral Hayes," came the voice over the communication system. "The entities are approaching Earth. All vessels engage." The human fleet opened fire with every weapon they had. Lasers, missiles, plasma cannons. But the weapons passed through the cosmic entities like they were made of air. "Physical weapons are useless," Sophie said. "Only the psychic network can hurt them." Jake felt the network activating. 8 million human minds focused on one goal: protect Earth, protect humanity, protect the galaxy. The first wave of entities hit the psychic barrier and screamed. It was not a sound, but a feeling that made reality tremble. The entities were hurt. They were being pushed back. "It's working," Amy shouted. "The barrier is holding." But the effort was killing people. Across the network, Jake could feel humans dying as they poured their life force into the psychic barrier. Thousands of people were sacrificing themselves to hold back the cosmic horror. "We can't keep this up," Commander Ben Rogers said. "We're losing too many people." Sophie suddenly opened her eyes. They were no longer black, but glowing with white light. "There's another way," she said. "But it means I have to become something else." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "I have to become a permanent bridge between dimensions. A guardian who watches over the barriers. I won't be human anymore." Lisa Grant was monitoring Sophie's vital signs. "Sophie, that could kill you." "No," Sophie said. "It will change me. I'll become something new. Something that can keep the entities away forever." Jake knelt down next to Sophie. "You're just a child. You shouldn't have to make this choice," Sophie smiled. "I'm not really a child anymore. I've seen too much, learned too much. And I'm the only one who can do this." The entities were pushing harder against the psychic barrier. More humans were dying. The network was failing. "I have to do this now," Sophie said, "while we still have strength." She closed her eyes and reached out with her mind, not just to the network, but to the cosmic entities themselves. She touched their ancient minds and spoke to them in a language older than words. "You cannot have this galaxy," she said. "These people are under my protection." The entities responded with rage and hunger. They attacked Sophie's mind directly, trying to destroy her before she could complete her transformation. But Sophie had something they didn't expect. She had the love and support of 8 million humans. Their strength flowed into her, protecting her as she changed. Jake watched in amazement as Sophie began to glow with inner light. Her body became translucent, then transparent. She was becoming something beyond human. The barriers are strengthening, Amy reported. The entities are being pushed back. Sophie's transformation was complete. She was no longer a physical being, but a guardian made of pure human will and determination. She spread her consciousness across the galaxy, creating permanent barriers between dimensions. The cosmic entities made one final attack. They poured all their power into breaking through Sophie's barriers. But they had underestimated humanity's greatest strength. Now, Jake shouted into the network. Everyone together. 8 million humans focused their thoughts on one command. Go. Back. The combined force of human will hit the entities like a tsunami. They were torn away from normal space and hurled back into the dark dimension. The dimensional tiers sealed themselves, leaving only normal space behind. But the victory came at a great cost. Half the humans in the network were dead or dying. Ships floated silent in space, their crews exhausted beyond measure. Sophie, Jake called out, are you still there? Her voice came from everywhere and nowhere. I'm here, Captain. I'm everywhere. Watching, protecting. Will the entities ever come back? Not while I'm here. And not while humans remember what they really are. Amy was studying the readings from the psychic network. The barriers are stable. The dimensional tiers are sealed. It's over. Admiral Hayes appeared on the communication screen. She looked older than she had that morning. Jake, we're getting reports from across the galaxy. The alien fleets are standing. Down. They single quotes re. They're thanking us. Thanking us for what? For saving them. For saving everyone. Over the next few days, the truth spread across the galaxy. Humanity was not a disease or a plague. They were the immune system, the galaxy's natural defense against cosmic horror. The alien races, ashamed of their fear, came forward to help. They shared their knowledge and resources. They offered to help humanity rebuild what was lost. Jake was promoted to Guardian Admiral, in charge of protecting the dimensional barriers. But he knew the real Guardian was Sophie, transformed into something beyond human understanding. Will we ever see you again? He asked during one of their conversations. The edge of human space was burning, not with fire, but with something worse. Reality itself was melting as cosmic entities pushed through from the dark dimension. Captain Jake Morrison watched the reports coming in from the outer colonies. Whole star systems were disappearing from the star charts. Sir, Pete Collins said from his engineering station, the entities are consuming the Kepler 442 system. 3 billion people live there. Jake felt sick. Any survivors? None. The system just stopped existing. Sophie Bennett sat in the center of the bridge. Her eyes were still black, and she was connected to equipment that Dr. Amy Foster had built. Wires ran from Sophie's head to computers that monitored her brain activity. I can see them, Sophie said quietly. 12 entities in the first wave. They're bigger than planets. They eat reality itself. How do we fight something like that? Asked Commander Ben Rogers. Sophie turned to look at him. We remember what we forgot. Amy was studying the data from Sophie's brain scans. Her neural patterns are incredible. She's processing information from across the galaxy simultaneously. It's not just me, Sophie said. Every human has this ability. We just don't know how to use it. Lisa Grant was reading reports from other human ships. Sophie's right. I'm getting medical reports from across the fleet. Human brain activity is increasing everywhere. People are having strange dreams, seeing things that aren't there. They're remembering, Sophie said. The knowledge is still. In our minds. We just buried it when we came to this dimension. Jake activated the communication system. This is Captain Morrison calling all human vessels. We need to work together. Admiral Karen Hayes appeared on the screen. Behind her, Jake could see the massive Earth defense fleet gathering near the solar system. Jake, we've lost 12 colonies. In the last 6 hours, she said. Whatever these things are, conventional weapons don't work on them. Admiral, we think we know how to fight them, Jake said. But we need every human to work together. What do you mean? Sophie stepped forward. Human consciousness creates barriers against the entities, but only when we stop running and start fighting. Amy activated her computer. Based on Sophie's brain patterns, I believe humans can create what I'm calling a psychic firewall. Our minds naturally resist cosmic horror, but we need to coordinate our thoughts across space. That sounds impossible, Admiral Hayes said. So did space travel once, Jake replied. Sophie, what do we need to do? Sophie closed her eyes and concentrated. We need volunteers. People who are willing to link their minds directly to the cosmic horror dimension. It's dangerous. Many will die. How many? Jake asked. Maybe half, Sophie said honestly. But if we don't try, everyone dies. Ben was monitoring alien communications. Captain, the alien fleets are still surrounding us. They're not attacking, but they're not helping either. They're waiting to see if we succeed, Sophie said. If we fail, they'll try to destroy what's left of humanity. Jake made his decision. Admiral, I volunteer to be part of the psychic network. Jake, no. It's the only way, Jake interrupted. We can't ask others to take risks we won't take ourselves. Amy was working frantically on her equipment. I can modify our communication systems to link human minds across space, but I need time. How much time? Jake asked. Pete looked up from his console. Captain, long-range sensors show more entities approaching. The second wave will arrive in 18 hours. Then we have 18 hours to save the galaxy, Jake said. Sophie suddenly stood up. Her black eyes were glowing brighter. Something's coming. Close. Very close. The ship's alarms began blaring. Through the windows, they could see space bending and twisting. Something massive was pushing through from the dark dimension. All hands to battle stations. Jake ordered. The thing that emerged from the dimensional tier was impossible to describe. It was bigger than the ship, but seemed to exist in more dimensions than human eyes could process. It had too many angles, too many surfaces that folded in on themselves. Weapons won't work on it, Sophie said. But our minds will. Jake grabbed the internal communication system. All crew, this is the captain. I need everyone to focus on one thought. This thing cannot exist here. Push it back with your minds. The crew of the Endeavor focused their thoughts on the entity. Jake felt something strange happening. His mind seemed to expand, connecting to the minds of his crew. Together, they pushed against the cosmic horror. The entity writhed and screamed. But instead of a sound, it was a sensation that felt like reality tearing. Slowly, it began to retreat back toward the dimensional tier. It's working, Amy shouted. The entity is weakening. But the effort was taking its toll. Lisa collapsed at her station. Blood ran from her nose. Around the bridge, other crew members were showing signs of strain. Hold on, Jake shouted. We can do this. With one final push, they forced the entity back through the dimensional tier. The tier sealed itself, leaving normal space behind, but the victory came at a cost. 3 crew members were unconscious. Lisa was barely breathing. The entities are stronger than I thought, Sophie said. We need more people for the psychic network. Jake activated the fleet communication system. This is Captain Morrison to all human vessels. We just proved that we can fight these things. But we need everyone. Admiral Hayes was coordinating the response. Jake, I'm getting volunteers from across the fleet. Military and civilian. They all want to help. Good. Amy, how long until the network is ready? Amy was working on the final connections. 6 hours. Maybe less. Sophie was monitoring the cosmic entities through her connection to the dark dimension. The second wave is coming faster than I thought. We have maybe 12 hours. Then we better work fast, Jake said. Across human space, volunteers were linking their minds to the psychic network. Scientists, soldiers, farmers, children. Anyone who was willing to risk their sanity to save the galaxy. But as they worked, Sophie discovered something that changed everything. The entities aren't just random monsters, she said. They're intelligent, they're organized, and they're specifically targeting human colonies. Why? Jake asked. Sophie's eyes went wide. Because they remember the last war. They know what humans are capable of. They're trying to destroy us before we fully awaken. Then we better awaken fast, Jake said. The race was on. Could humanity remember its true nature in time to save the galaxy? Or would the cosmic entities succeed in destroying the one species that could stop them? Either way, the next 12 hours would determine the fate of every living thing in the galaxy dot, and it all depended on a 12-year-old girl who had seen too much, and a species that had forgotten how to be heroes. But heroes they would have to be, because there was no one else. The Endeavor's communication system buzzed with emergency signals. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the screens fill with bad news. Human colonies across the galaxy were going silent one by one. Captain, said Commander Ben. Rogers, Jake's second in command. I'm getting reports from the outer colonies. Ships are arriving, but they're not human ships. Jake looked at the tactical display. Alien fleets were surrounding human space. Ships from dozens of different species, all pointing their weapons at human worlds. They're not attacking yet, Pete Collins said from his engineering station. They're just ... waiting. Admiral Karen Hayes appeared on the main screen. Her face was tired and scared. Behind her, Jake could see the busy command center of Earth's space fleet. Jake, thank God you're alive, she said. We've lost contact with 47 colonies. Whatever's happening, it's spreading fast. Admiral, we found something, Jake said. The girl we rescued knows what's causing this. Sophie Bennett stepped forward. She looked small next to the adult humans, but her eyes held knowledge that shouldn't exist in a child. The aliens have been lying to us, Sophie said, for thousands of years. Admiral Hayes leaned forward. What do you mean? Dr. Amy Foster activated her computer. Admiral, we've discovered that humanity may not be native to this dimension. We believe we originally came from a realm where cosmic entities exist. That's impossible, Admiral Hayes said. Sophie shook her head. The blue people had records, ancient records. They showed me before they... She stopped talking and looked scared. Before they what? Jake asked gently. Before they tried to cut open my brain, they wanted to see how human minds work. They found something that scared them. Lisa Grant was monitoring Sophie's vital signs. Her brain patterns are getting stronger. It's like she's becoming more connected to something. Ben Rogers was studying intelligence reports on his screen. Captain, I'm finding evidence of the conspiracy Sophie mentioned. Look at this. Ben showed them historical records from the ship's database. Trade agreements, navigation charts, and diplomatic treaties between humans and aliens. Every major discovery humans made in space was guided, Ben said. The locations of habitable worlds, the paths of safe hyperspace routes, even the technology we developed. It was all given to us by alien sources. Amy was cross-referencing the data. The pattern is clear. They were herding us into specific areas of space. away from populated systems. But why? Jake asked. Sophie drew another picture on her tablet. This one showed ancient aliens fleeing from something dark and terrible. Because they'd seen what happens when we spread too far, Sophie said. Other species learned about us long ago. Some tried to fight us. Others just ran away. The communication system crackled with an incoming message. The voice was alien, speaking in the universal trade language. This is Counselor Vex of the Galactic Emergency Assembly. We are broadcasting to all human vessels. You have 48 hours to surrender yourselves for termination. This is the only way to save the galaxy. Jake activated the reply channel. This is Captain Morrison of the human vessel Endeavor. We demand an explanation. A different alien voice answered. Captain Morrison, this is High Archivist Zal of the Ancient Knowledge Keepers. Your species carries a dimensional signature that attracts cosmic predators. Every human birth weakens the barriers between realities. Sophie stepped closer to the screen. Tell him about the other species. Tell him about the ones who came before. The child speaks truly, Zal said. In the past 1,000,000 years, we have encountered 17 species with your dimensional signature. 16 chose to sacrifice themselves to save the galaxy. One refused. What happened to the one that refused? Amy asked. The Vorthan Empire. They spread across 300 star systems. They believed they could fight the cosmic entities. Their entire civilization was consumed in 7 days. Jake felt sick. So you're saying we have to die? Yes. It is the only way to close the dimensional pathways before the entities establish a permanent presence in our reality. Sophie grabbed the communication device. You're wrong, she shouted. The Vorthan didn't know how to fight properly. Humans are different. Child, you cannot possibly understand. I understand because I can see them. Sophie interrupted. The hungry things. They're not just following us. They're afraid of us. The alien went quiet for a moment. Afraid? That is impossible. Sophie's eyes began to glow with a faint light. They're afraid because we come from their realm. We know their weaknesses. We just forgot how to use that knowledge. Lisa was reading her medical scanner in amazement. Sophie's brain activity is off the charts. She's processing information at impossible speeds. The Watchers marked me, Sophie said. But the mark works both ways. I can see their thoughts. I can feel their fear. Admiral Hayes was studying tactical reports. Jake, we're getting reports of strange phenomena near human colonies. Space itself is ... changing. Pete looked up from his engineering station. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures appearing throughout human space. Whatever's coming, it's big. Sophie closed her eyes and concentrated. When she opened them, they were completely black. The first wave has arrived, she said, in a voice that didn't sound like her own. 12 entities have crossed into normal space. They're testing our defenses. Jake looked at the tactical display. Red warnings were flashing at the edges of human territory. What are they doing? He asked. Feeding, Sophie said. They consume life force, consciousness, reality itself. But they're being careful. They remember what happened the last time they fought humans. Last time? Amy asked. Sophie nodded. Before we came to this dimension, there was a war. A great war between humans and the hungry things. We won, but the victory was so terrible that humanity chose to flee into this reality. Ben was pulling up more historical data. If that's true, then we should have records of weapons or strategies that work against these entities. Not records, Sophie said. Instincts. Every human has the knowledge buried deep in their mind. The ability to fight things that should not exist. The ship shook as something massive passed nearby. Through the windows, they could see space rippling. Like water. They're getting closer, Sophie whispered. Soon they'll be strong enough to attack the core worlds. Jake made a decision. Admiral, I need you to gather all available human forces. We're not going to surrender. Jake, if the aliens are right, they're not right. Jake interrupted. They're just scared. Sophie, can you teach us how to fight these things? Sophie looked at him with her black eyes. I can try. But first, we need to understand what we really are. She drew one more picture. This one showed humans not as victims, but as warriors standing against the darkness. We're not a disease, Sophie said. We're the immune system. The galaxy created us to fight the hungry things. But we lost our way. Then it's time to remember, Jake said. Outside the ship, reality continued to tear apart as more cosmic entities pushed through into normal space. But for the first time since the crisis began, Jake felt hope. If humanity was really meant to fight these things, then they would fight. And they would win. Because that's what humans do. The human ship Endeavour floated quietly in space. Inside, Dr. Amy Foster sat with Sophie Bennett in the medical bay. 3 days had passed since they rescued the girl from the alien prison. Sophie was getting stronger, but her mind was still full of terrible memories. Can you tell me more about the Watchers? Amy asked softly. Sophie was drawing pictures with colored pencils. Her drawings showed strange creatures that seemed to exist between light and shadow. They had too many eyes and moved in ways that hurt to look at. They live in the space between spaces, Sophie said, where the stars can't shine. They're always hungry. Lisa Grant checked Sophie's health readings on her computer. The girl's brain showed unusual patterns. It was like her mind was connected to something far away. The blue people were scared, Sophie continued. They found out about us, about what we really are. Captain Jake Morrison entered the medical bay. He had been trying to contact Earth for 3 days, but all his messages came back with no answer. Sophie, Jake said, sitting down next to her, I need you to tell me exactly what the Zilithians discovered about humans. Sophie put down her pencil. She looked at Jake with eyes that seemed too old for a 12-year-old girl. We're not from here, she said. Humans come from the dark place. The place where the hungry things rule. Amy leaned forward. What dark place? The place between everything, where reality is thin. The blue people called it the void realm. Sophie picked up a black pencil and drew a picture of Earth. But around Earth, she drew dark tentacles reaching out like roots. Every human who is born makes the barrier weaker, Sophie said. Every human ship that travels to new worlds creates a path for the hungry things to follow. Jake felt cold. You're saying humanity is dangerous? Not dangerous, Sophie said. We're like a disease, but not the kind that makes you sick. The kind that lets other sicknesses in. Lisa looked at her medical scanner. Her brain patterns are getting stronger. It's like she's receiving signals from somewhere else. Sophie nodded. The Watchers marked me. Now I can see what they see. I can feel what they feel. She drew another picture. This one showed a map of the galaxy. Human colonies were marked with red dots. Dark lines connected all the dots, forming a web across space. The hungry things use human minds like roads, Sophie said. They follow us wherever we go. The more humans spread out, the easier it is for them to find new places to eat. Amy studied the drawing. You're saying there are cosmic entities that use human consciousness as a navigation system? Yes, and they're getting closer. Pete Collins came, running into the medical bay. His face was pale with fear. Captain, you need to see this, he said. I've been monitoring alien communications. Something big is happening. They all went to the bridge. Pete showed them the communication screens. Messages were coming in from all over the galaxy. Most were in alien languages, but Pete's computers translated them. Urgent. All ships avoid human space. Warning: dimensional anomalies detected near human colonies. Evacuation order: all civilians leave border systems immediately. Jake read the messages with growing worry. Why are they all running from us? Sophie climbed onto a chair so she could see the screens better, because they know what's coming. The hungry things are almost here. Amy was studying the star charts. Look at this pattern. Every place that's being evacuated is within 50 light years of a human colony. The blue people weren't the first to figure it out, Sophie said. Lots of aliens have known for a long time. They made a secret group to keep us contained. Contained? How? Jake asked. Sophie drew another picture. This one showed alien ships guiding human ships along certain paths through space. They made us think we were exploring on our own. But really, they were guiding us, keeping us in certain areas, away from populated systems. Lisa was looking at more medical data. Sophie's brain patterns are changing again. It's like she's becoming a receiver for something. Sophie suddenly stood up straight. Her eyes went wide. They're coming, she whispered. The first wave. I can feel them moving through the dark spaces between stars. The ship's communication system came alive with emergency signals. Admiral Karen Hayes' voice came through the speakers. All human. Vessels, this is Fleet Command. We are under attack by unknown entities. Multiple colonies have gone dark. I repeat, we are under attack. Jake activated the ship's main screen. It showed a map of human space. Red warning lights were flashing at dozens of locations. New Shanghai colony, no response. Kepler station, no response. Titan mining platform, no response. They're eating the colonies, Sophie said, starting with the ones furthest from Earth. Amy was working frantically at her computer. Sophie is right. If humans really are from another dimension, it would explain why we're so good at surviving impossible situations. How? Jake asked. Because we come from a place where impossible situations are normal. We evolved to survive cosmic horror. Sophie shook her head. We didn't evolve there. We escaped from there a long time ago, before history began. The communication system crackled again. This time it was an alien voice speaking in broken English. Human ships, this is the Galactic Council. By order of the Emergency Assembly, all human vessels are to be destroyed on sight. You have brought doom upon us all. Jake stared at the screen. They're going to kill us all? They're scared, Sophie said. They think if they kill all humans, the hungry things will go away. But they're wrong. Why are they wrong? Amy asked. Sophie drew one final picture. It showed the Earth surrounded by darkness, but the darkness was not attacking the Earth. It was being held back by something. Because we're not the disease, Sophie said. We're the cure. But we forgot how to use our power. The ship shook as something large passed nearby. Through the windows, they could see space itself bending and twisting. The hungry things are here, Sophie whispered, and they're very, very hungry. Jake looked at his crew. They were all scared, but they were ready to fight. Then we better remember how to cure this disease, he said. Fast, outside the ship, reality began to tear apart as the first cosmic horror pushed through into normal space. The real battle was about to begin. Captain Jake Morrison stepped through the broken doors of the alien building. His boots made loud sounds on the metal floor. The place was dark and cold. Strange smells filled the air. Behind him, 3 other humans followed with their guns ready. Stay close, Jake said into his radio. We don't know what happened here. Lisa Grant was the team's doctor. She carried a medical bag and a small gun. Pete Collins was their engineer. He had tools to fix broken things. Dr. Amy Foster knew about aliens and their ways of life. All of them were scared, but they did not show it. The building belonged to the Zilithians. These aliens were tall and had blue skin. They were known to be peaceful traders. But 3 months ago, all contact with this place had stopped. The Galactic Council asked humans to check what happened. Humans were good at dangerous jobs like this. Jake's flashlight cut through the darkness. The walls were covered with strange writing. Some parts of the building looked burned. Others looked like something had torn them apart with giant claws. "Captain," Pete said, looking at a broken computer. The power systems were shut down from the inside. Someone did this on purpose. Why would they turn off their own power? Lisa asked. Amy looked at the alien writing on the walls. These symbols ... They're not Zilithian. I've never seen anything like them. They walked deeper into the building. Jake felt something was wrong. The air was too quiet. Even abandoned places usually had some sounds. But this place felt dead. They found the first bodies on the second floor. 3 Zilithians lay on the ground. Their blue skin had turned gray. Their eyes were wide open, full of fear. What killed them? Jake asked. Lisa checked the bodies with her scanner. No wounds, no poison. It's like they just ... stopped living. Fear, Amy said quietly. They died of fear. They kept moving down. The building had many floors below ground. Each floor was darker and stranger than the last. The walls showed more of the unknown writing. Sometimes they found more bodies. All of them had died the same way. On the 5th floor below ground, they found the cells. The hallway was long and narrow. Metal doors lined both sides. Each door had a small window. Jake looked through the first window and saw bones. The second cell had a dead alien he didn't recognize. The third cell was empty. This is a prison, Pete said. But why would traders need a prison? Amy was studying the doors. These locks, they're not meant to keep people out. They're meant to keep something in. They checked more cells. Most were empty or had dead aliens inside. Jake was starting to think they would find nothing alive. Then Lisa called out from the end of the hallway. Over here. I found something. Jake ran to where Lisa was standing. She was looking through a window into the darkest cell. Inside, something small was moving in the corner. It's a child, Lisa whispered. Jake looked closer. In the corner of the cell sat a small human girl. She had long brown hair and pale skin. Her clothes were torn and dirty. She was very thin. How do we open this? Jake asked. Pete worked on the lock with his tools. After a few minutes, the door opened with a loud click. The girl looked up at them with scared eyes. It's okay, Lisa said softly. We're here to help you. The girl did not speak. She just stared at them like she couldn't believe they were real. What's your name? Jake asked. Sophie, the girl whispered. Her voice was so quiet, they could barely hear her. Sophie Bennett? The girl nodded. Jake remembered the name from the missing persons reports. Sophie Bennett had disappeared 6 months ago when raiders attacked the human colony on Kepler 438b. We're going to get you out of here, Lisa said. She wrapped a blanket around Sophie and gave her some water. Sophie drank the water quickly. Then she grabbed Lisa's arm. They're watching, Sophie said. They're always watching. Who's watching? Jake asked. The Watchers. The ones who made the hungry things come. Amy knelt down next to Sophie. What hungry things? Sophie's eyes got very wide. The great hunger. It's coming from the dark between the stars. The blue people found out about us. They found out what we really are. What are we? Amy asked Dot before Sophie could answer. Red lights started flashing. A loud alarm filled the building. The lights went out, leaving them in darkness. Emergency power activated, a computer voice said in the Zilithian language. Pete's translator device spoke in English. Containment breach. All personnel evacuate immediately. Dimensional barriers failing. Jake turned on his flashlight. We need to go now. They helped Sophie stand up. She was weak, but could walk. As they headed for the stairs, Sophie grabbed Jake's arm. It's too late, she whispered. They know we're here. The Watchers are coming. From somewhere deep in the building came a sound like screaming, but it wasn't coming from any throat. It was coming from the walls themselves. Move, Jake shouted. They ran. For the stairs. Behind them, the screaming got louder. The walls started to shake. Something was hunting them in the darkness. As they climbed the stairs, Sophie kept talking. They studied us. They learned what we are. We're not from here. We're from the place where the hungry things live. What does that mean? Amy asked as they ran. It means humanity is doomed, Sophie said. And so is everyone else. They reached the surface as the building began to collapse behind them. But Jake knew their real problems were just beginning.